What if I told you that when a cop pulls you over for a very small violation, that is not the goal? I was in northern Colorado, as you may already know, a couple weekends ago, and I was pulled over outside of a small town called Ault, Colorado, A-U-L-T, for doing 69 and a 65. Now, you're thinking, 4 miles over a big whoop, why do they even pull you over to begin with? Well, here's why. Because when they pull you over for a violation that small, they're fishing for something else. And I've seen this described in various other channels before, where they're looking to stack charges against you. And for this reason, I will advise DoorDash drivers or anybody else to be as cooperative as possible. Now, there's two things I'm thinking specifically of in this particular situation. Obviously, one of them being the sovereign citizen movement. They're looking for someone who's going to be uncooperative, looking for someone who's going to use illegal defenses that have never won in a court of law, to argue with them on the side of the road. This is kind of a subtle way to crack down against that particular movement by looking for ways and reasons to get these particular offenders out of the way. These are bigger tickets, by the way. You know, I mean, we're talking about if we're talking about failure to show a license, driver's license, proof of insurance, or registration, that is basically an obstruction charge. There is also driving on a suspended or revoked license, obviously, in those particular cases. And then finally, if you get to the point where they order you out of the car and you resist, so that's resisting, you can be charged with resisting without violence, or if you physically start to fight them, resisting with violence. Now we're in felony territory here. Now they got you for a felony. The fees on those are far bigger than they are for an actual speeding ticket. So a 4 mile an hour over speeding ticket is not exactly all what they were looking for. There's a reason why that this officer had backup already there. In my particular instance, she didn't pull me over by herself. She had a second officer with her already in hand. And that was in case it went a different direction than on the surface. The other thing about it is, you know, northern Colorado is a pretty substantial drug running corridor. So we're looking for that too, which are much bigger charges, again, much bigger fines for the citing police department. And you're like, okay, well, Colorado, it's legal to have marijuana. True. It is legal to have marijuana in Colorado in small amounts. But what they're looking for really in this particular instance is maybe they have a small amount of marijuana, maybe there's a whole bunch of other drugs, different types of illegal kinds or controlled kinds in the back of the back trunk. They're looking for a reason to search for that. Again, the north-south corridors in Colorado tend to be very have high amounts of drug running traffic. And this is one of those routes. You know, going north in this case into Wyoming. The Front Range corridor of Colorado is a backbone or a spine of drug running traffic to points north and to points south. South being to New Mexico, north being to Wyoming, Montana. So these are high corridors for that particular purpose. They're fishing for that too. So if you're a DoorDash driver or anybody else for that matter, cooperate with the officers, give them your driver's license, identification, proof of insurance and registration. And for the love of God, don't fall for a sovereign citizen script, because if that's the case, that 4 mile an hour speeding ticket just became something much worse for you. It's going to cost you a lot more money. And the citing officer just got their prize. Now, I do not believe that police departments have quotas, but in the case of this town, population about 1,500. Those types of tickets are a significant part of the revenue. And if you're a sovereign citizen, they just hit the jackpot. They're going to get a lot of money out of you. And save your fee schedules. They're not falling for that either. Sovereign citizens, of course, have these quote-unquote fee schedules where they charge the officers of the police department for pulling them over to begin with. Again, unenforceable by law. No collection agency would ever take your case, and not a single penny has ever been collected on those. So that's it for today. Even if you pull over for a very minor traffic violation, taillight being out like I was a few weeks ago here in Minnesota, or my case in northern Colorado, 69 and a 65, they're fishing for something bigger. That is why they pulled you over. Not for that ticket itself. Because in my case, because I was cooperative, they just let me out for the warning because the ticket's not going to do them any good. At least not the amount that they're looking for. But had I given them the soft sit script, then they would have certainly went full pursuit on that one, and I'd have been out thousands of dollars. So that's it for this go around. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, homies.